Hello, guys. Welcome to another podcast by, hosted by Saturday HS called The Podcast We Swear We'll Name Someday. I think today's topic's mainly going to be revolving around technology. So, obviously, if you guys have any questions regarding, actually, you know what, Saturday, can you introduce it?
Sure.
Oh,
Instead of talking about technology, we'll be talking about why we started this podcast. And these two guests, the one in the top middle and bottom left, they did start their own podcast. So why you guys introduce yourselves?
Alice, do you want to go first or shall I?
I mean, you've started talking now, so.
Okay. So my name's Lucy Wood, and this is my co-host Alice, and we host the lABLEd podcast.
Nice. So tell me about your podcast and why you started.
So our little tagline is lABLEd is the lABLEd podcast is a podcast about disability, illness, and difference. So we invite different guests on to come and talk about their experience of disability and or chronic illness or mental health, cognitive impairment, things like that, and just kind of share their experiences. And just it's very relaxed. It's kind of a chat. We talk about all sorts of different themes, tell stories. I swear a lot. Lucy tends to cry. It's that's kind of us in a nutshell.
So you wanna talk about yourself, Lucy?
Okay, so I work for a leading disability organisation here in the UK called Access Able. I'm also a blogger and I'm passionate advocate for disability, inclusion and equality across the board, really. So I set up, for years and years and years, I've been wanting to do a podcast, never really had the time to sort of work on it. So I have I put a little tweet out on Twitter as I was coming back from a weekend away somewhere. I said, would anybody be interested in a podcast? Just asking, would you be interested in listening to a podcast, not necessarily hosting one? And Alice got in touch with me and said, yeah, I'll do a podcast with you. So, and that sort of snowballed out of there. Snowballed really, and we created this podcast between the two of us. So both Alice and I are advocates for disability and passionate about hearing people's stories. We're basically a little bit nosy, really, and hearing other people's stories.
That's cool, Tom. I like that. So about my podcast, it's pretty much the same thing, but I want to more educate people on the different disabilities that we have, or technology that we use, or anything like that. It's not necessarily just for disabled people. It's pretty much for anyone, or even advocates, or developers of games, for instance, that we can play, or anything that we can do, or really, it's about just having a good time, tell people about ourselves, and just try our best to entertain others. So
It was I listened to a couple of your earlier episodes, and the disabled gaming thing I think is really interesting. Wouldn't call myself a gamer in the slightest. My husband's big into games, and we have sort of worked together to try and play some games and access some games because I'm legally blind, so gaming is sort of a difficult thing for me. Especially like console games and stuff like that. I know that there are mods and apps and stuff that you can get. I've just never, it's not on my list of sort of priority things to spend my spoons on to investigate.
Right.
But I know that Saturday, you use an eye tracker, which is not something I know anything about. Would you like just kind of explain? I feel I'm totally hijacking and asking the questions myself.
No
now.
problem. I have no problem with that.
I don't know what it is. So what's an eye tracker? How does it work, and how does it enable you to game?
It's a physical device you attach to your monitor, and it, well, as it suggests, it tracks your eyes, but with infrared technology. So I am part of this beta program to basically have a control of my computer with just an easy way to do it. And me and this individual here on my top right, iGazeGirl, I believe she's called. She plays with an eye tracker to play Minecraft, and I found out a way to play Minecraft as well using a mod within Minecraft that enables me to play. And the developer of this program or mod introduced me to EyeMineGirl. So if you want to introduce yourself so we can delve deeper into it.
I'm iGazeGirl, also known as Becky. I have cerebral palsy. I have a YouTube channel called iGazeGirl.
Yeah, I've seen several stuff of your content. Pretty good. It's pretty interesting that we can play Minecraft this way. Because without that mod, we would not be able to play it. So it's really cool to have that kind of technology.
It sounds really interesting. It sounds like a lot of the sort of assistive tech that I use for computers is like voice sort of stuff, reading stuff out on screen and having to move the mouse around, and then you hover over something and a narrator will tell you what you're hovering over. So having something that I guess tracked my eye movements, because one of the things I have a lot of difficulty with is that kind of hand-eye coordination. I can see how that that technology could translate into a lot of other areas to make things really accessible for people, with a lot of different kind of needs.
Right. Yeah, it's amazing what we can do as gamers or any kind of adaptive technology out there. Just without it, we just wouldn't be able to function.
I mean, I suppose it's about adapting to your environment, you know, and just sort of what you're willing to kind of work to adapt for, because I'm sure I know there's people with less sight than me who play WoW and stuff like that. Yeah, I definitely like listening to the earlier episodes of your show Saturday where you were talking about gaming and you were talking about tech and stuff like that, and I was like, I've no idea. I'm not cool. I sit at home and read with my cat. You guys were like in the second episode talking all about the gigs and stuff that you went to, and I was like, I was hoping to go see Kesha last year, and they were all on about your like metal band.
not bad.
Kesha.
Maybe
I remember.
maybe Saturday. Maybe you'd like to come on our podcast and we can interview you about your
How to be cool.
experiences and that kind of thing if you're interested.
Yeah, I can like
How to be cool,
train
yeah.
you, train you on how to be cool.
Okay,
Teach us how to play a few computer games and all that kind of stuff.
So I've got a friend in.
But you're always very welcome if you want to come on.
Sure.
So I've got a friend who obviously she's lived a life as an able-bodied and disabled-bodied person because obviously she's been like through cancer and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously the side
okay.
effects of that led her to like needing like more help and things like
Mhm.
that. So obviously, so it's really like put her life into perspective, obviously, and she wouldn't mind sharing her experience since she does campaigning work anyway.
Mhm.
So I think that might be something like if
Yeah,
obviously Caitlin,
that'd
if
be
you want to
cool.
join podcast at some point, we'll sort it out with you. Obviously, you're in the server already, but we'll sort it out with you and get you on to a show sometime.
That'd be great.
Yeah, because I
You're
think it's
welcome.
nice. It's kind of like, obviously, I don't know if it's the same for everyone, but obviously, some people with like disabilities and things sort of like have lived normal lives, sort of thing, before.
Yeah, yeah,
Obviously, what's normal anyway?
exactly. I mean,
But like,
normal is boring.
obviously, like the change, kind of like obviously going from able-bodied to disabled,
Yeah, it's
like
different.
disabled. It's like the perspective like completely changes. Like your whole mindset just changes.
Like even when somebody has a stroke and all of a sudden you're disabled and your life just rapidly changes. I mean, it's hard to your mental state because you're able-bodied one day and all of a sudden you have to rely on
Yeah.
people to do everything. I mean, it's difficult, that's for sure.
I always class myself as, I mean, I was born with cerebral palsy, so I always class myself as being quite lucky in that instance because I've never known any different, and I've been able to just get on with my life,
Mhm.
sort of make the most of it, kind of thing, and different. So I always think I'm very, very lucky in that respect.
Right.
Yeah, that's the way I kind of go with life, really, because obviously I was diagnosed with muscular dystrophy quite late, like 9, 10 years old. But obviously, I kept going. I kept trying to do the things I could do, like walking and things. Like
Yeah.
I could still do it, so I thought, why not just do
Yeah.
it? Like if I get tired, I can have a sit down sort of thing. I just got on with it that way. Obviously now I'm sort of like relying on my wheelchair majority of the time now.
All right.
But I can still but I still try and I can still transfer to seats and stuff. So I keep doing that
That's good.
because I want to try and maintain the amount of
Yeah.
ability I have left.
Maintain,
for
yeah.
my body.
Maintain what you got. Yeah, maintain what you got.
Yeah, because if I don't use it, how I see it is, if I don't use it, I lose it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like making use of that muscle.
It's really interesting for me because I've got my illness is degenerative, my eyesight condition, but like I'm going to lose it regardless of whether I use it. So it's quite interesting to me that to speak to somebody who's got a condition who's in that same degenerative position, but kind of almost like trying to fight back the tide. For me, I'm just kind of getting on with stuff and waiting, and it happens when it happens. But because I think, do you have muscular dystrophy as well, Saturday?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. So have you both seen like a deterioration in your life, or has it been consistent?
No, my type, Duchenne muscular dystrophy, is pretty much the worst form of it. So it's like the most degenerative, you can say.
Mm-hmm.
It's unfortunate, but I live my life, and hey, I'm here doing a podcast and enjoying my life. So
Yeah, that's the main thing, really. If you enjoy yourself, that's the main thing, really.
Yeah. And the support around you, well, all of us really, or
obviously I have a
it really helps.
who obviously he has muscular dystrophy as well. But obviously we're kind of, in terms of strength, we're kind of similar. Obviously we haven't had it as bad as what sort of obviously like Sade's explaining it, but
yeah,
that's because I've kind of handled it. I've probably handled it in a, I don't know. Sade, how did you, like, during your younger years, how do you manage? If that's an okay question to ask.
No, that's okay. Completely open about it.
Yeah.
Well, I just go about my day, and whatever I need or help with, like physically, I have that support. That really helps a lot. And mentally, I've been okay. Keep myself busy with doing YouTube, doing this podcast, streaming, and whatever goes around that. Being part of other podcasts or shows, I guess you can say. I'm part of this Discord group. I'm not sure if it's publicly known, but I'm just part of this group that each of us do either a show or just streaming or just enjoying watching said streams or shows. And one show, or I guess I can explain 2 different shows that I'm on occasionally. One called Mole, MOLE, and you basically are in a group of like 30 or even up to 40 people on a Zoom call, and each of us are in like a group of 5, and we just have to vote out people that we feel are suspicious, like an Among Us. So it's like a Zoom call Among Us, you can think of it that way. It's pretty cool. And another show that I'm on called Survivor is basically same premise as the TV show, but we're of course not stranded on an island, but
just stranded in our houses at the moment.
Yeah.
I guess you could say.
I've got another valid point. Well, Caitlin's obviously being quite open in the chat, so do you mind if I read what she said out? Right, so
no, go ahead.
She struggled with the fact that obviously accepting that she's not as able-bodied, well, that she's kind of went from going from able-bodied to disabled, saying that she's been struggling mentally with it for a while because she's feared that being disabled is kind of like a bad thing, but obviously she's still learning that and realized that she doesn't have any less value than an able-bodied person. Obviously, it's kind of like struggling with internalized ableism sort of thing. That makes sense.
It does make sense.
It's something we've talked about a lot on our show, and about something that with all the guests that we've had, a lot of people have had kind of mental health issues, and there is that internalized ableism can be quite destructive.
Yeah.
And I think one of the really nice things about having a good disabled community online is that it can really help people that they are still part of tribe and that you do still have value and your opinions and your existence is important to other people, even if it doesn't necessarily feel like it's important to the big outside world.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I may be like full of self-promotion, I do think that if anybody is struggling with that internalized ableism and sort of struggling to find their own identity, really, I think listening to some of the episodes in our podcast, Alice, I don't know if you agree with me, but some of their some of the stories that people come on and are really quite open and honest. I know have helped me to put things into perspective. So I hope that any new listeners that may discover our podcast might feel the same way too. Just as a starting point, really.
Yeah, I mean it's not us taking the credit. Like all we do is invite people on, and me and Lucy just kind of talk about gin. It's people coming on and sharing these really moving personal stories that actually make what we're doing worth listening to.
Yeah, it's like Caitlin's been quite open anyway, but obviously she's still writing. But I can keep reading them out anyway. So
go ahead.
This is the next thing here. Once I became disabled, I felt like I was just a leech on society, especially due to the fact I had to claim welfare and that I'd never be able to do something since I'd be so reliant on others. So I felt like a massive burden. Reality is, disabled people can still do incredible things. Yes, I can't work a normal job, but I can still have a dream and live a life that I'm proud of.
Yeah, I mean,
I wouldn't want to work a normal job. Normal jobs are boring.
Get
out there and do something interesting. People.
I think I haven't did everything I done without my disability. For example, I did a talk to 6,000 people.
Wow.
Wow, that's a lot.
6,000 people. Wow.
I'm doing a
wow.
I think Saturday you was at this talk I did around Christmas time about about gaming and technology and stuff, and it was only around 30 people.
I did a work thing where I spent like 3 weeks really trying to promote this online drop-in session, and I had one person turn up in my 3 hours, and I was just like, people don't care what I have to say. So 6,000 people, like, can I ask,
awesome.
what were you talking about, and what was it?
My religion.
Okay.
Your religion.
All right.
Okay.
That's really quite a brave thing to do. I don't think I could talk to 6,000 people about
really
music.
brave.
Well, and religion is quite personal, I think, to people. So I think that's really cool.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have the courage or whatever you can call it, to speak with that amount of people.
Podcasting's different, isn't it? Because it's just you kind of, you're kind of on your own, or there's 5 of us. It's not the same as a room full of 6,000 people.
No, it's not the same.
No, it's like Caitlin's just put, my able-bodied friends would show me the burns they would get from the crushing machines at KFC. So in a way, I'm glad I don't have to get third-degree burns for so little pay or deal with the Karens in retail.
That's true.
Lucy's always going on about Susan in accounts on our podcast. Mythical Susan from accounts.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh,
mythical
Susan again.
she's a Susans of this world.
Susan, Karen, Ken, who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're all the same.
Yeah, they're all the same. That's for sure. Yeah. Yeah, it's quite different. Like as I said earlier, that all of a sudden you're disabled, I guess, or I guess more reliant on people than before, and yeah, it's difficult. So I completely understand the idea about that. It is hard.
I think
Yeah.
it's also really important where you can to recognize like your own independence and your own achievements. Like
Right.
I'm quite reliant on other people for support. You know, and I had to get a guide dog because it wasn't safe for me to leave the house on my own anymore and stuff like that. But now I've got my mobility aid. There's lots of things I can do, and I do work and I do go out and see my friends, and you know, I can go to the gym when the world is open and stuff like that.
Right.
And I think it's really important to kind of go, well, they might seem like boring, normal things that everybody can do, but because of my disability, they're really hard. But I can still do them, and I'm proud of myself for being able to do that.
But at the same time, these people shouldn't really congratulate you for doing those normal things. Like, I mean, it's just going to doing the normal things like you're saying, but I want to know your opinion about like them congratulating you for doing normal things.
Oh yeah, no, these are my achievements. Like you can't call me inspirational for getting out of bed and dragging my ass to the gym.
Yeah.
Like for
Yeah.
me, it's like the bit that is impressive about me getting to the gym is not because I'm disabled, it's because I'm tired. Like it's got nothing to do with the fact that I can't see.
Yeah. You're
The achievement is
congratulating you're
Exactly.
congratulating yourself.
Yeah.
Which means more than anything.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah.
Carry on. It's fine.
I was just gonna say it goes into something. Lucy has a real thing about being called an inspiration.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's one of my pet peeves, to be honest. Being called an inspiration.
Yes,
it's like
bullshit. Really.
I just want to be treated the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
I just want to like especially when people like I've had people in the past come up to me and talking like some patronizing voice, like asking if I'm all right in like a very patronizing way, and it's just like, no.
Ask them the same. See how they feel.
I always like to tell the story of one Christmas where I think I mentioned it on a podcast. I'm not sure which one, Alice, but there was a woman who was from the Salvation Army, which is like a charity over here in England. But they sort of like provide support, don't they, to people in crisis.
I think the Salvation Army
campaign over Christmas.
Yeah, I think they're an international organisation to support people with homelessness and vulnerable people.
Yep.
Well, then you'll know what I'm talking about. But she was shaking her like a cash tin thing, like asking for donations. And she came over to me and in a very loud voice in a busy supermarket just before Christmas said, "Would you like a colouring book?" And I was like, 23. No, you're all right. And it's that kind of perception that we A, can't understand you, B, we're deaf, C, you have to speak in a very loud voice because you're stupid.
Yeah.
And also talking to the care assistant or the friend or husband or whatever it is, the person behind you, because they think we can't hear them.
It's why when
what I would do in that kind of situation is just completely ignore them. Don't even give them eye contact. I mean, it's just kind of the same feeling, really. I mean, it's like...
Some people think I don't understand and they talk to me like a baby, which makes me sad.
Yeah, that's the worst part.
That's the worst part.
Talking down to you.
I've had situations where I've been out, person I've gone to talk to is sort of like talking to my mum instead.
That's the worst.
I'm right here.
In the restaurant. I get there all the time.
Yeah, it's why
in the restaurant.
It's why I try and do things myself usually when I go out.
Like one of my...
So if I want to order something from, say, Starbucks, for example, I'd do it myself. I'd go myself, have my mum with me, and then it kind of makes me feel a bit more independent.
Yeah, it does.
Caitlin's just said, I got asked to be roasted and got told I couldn't because I was a cancer patient, even though I asked for it.
Or
True.
they talk to my personal assistant.
Yeah. Like in a restaurant, like my caregiver was there and they approached, well, the waitress or waiter approached him and said, what does he want? I mean, and he says, or my caregiver says, he's right there, ask him.
Yeah.
He
They don't
wants
like
you to ask him.
that either.
Yeah.
They don't like. Yeah, they hate it when the person you're with goes ask her or ask him. They're like, oh no, please don't. Oh God, no.
It's-
I genuinely think that fear comes from able-bodied people being scared of one day eventually becoming disabled, because whether you are chronically ill or currently able-bodied and healthy, age will in some way disable you. And I think able-bodied people are frightened to death of that. They're frightened to death of getting old anyway. You only have to look at beauty magazines to see serums after serums. Yeah. Serums after serums to try and make you look youthful, to see that.
Not just able-bodied people. I'm terrified.
Nobody.
I don't want to look old. I would like to look 25 again, please.
You don't. You don't look old, Alice.
I do. I look like my mum, but it's fine.
No, you don't. I'm sure your mum was. I'm sure your mum is lovely. But I genuinely think that for able-bodied people, they are frightened to death of becoming disabled and their life being tipped upside down a little bit.
I mean, on social media, it's kind of like, regardless of who you are, you can use social media.
Right.
It's like same with Twitch as well. Like anyone can stream on Twitch. Like I can go on my computer and set up a stream by myself without anybody helping me at all.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And then you gotta try your best to get those people watching you. So that's the hard part. I mean, anybody can start it, but it's just how you use it. How you use streaming as a tool, or just trying to educate people, or having fun, or just playing games.
I just tend to do it just for fun. Like I like to meme around and have jokes and be what shall I say, cringe sort of thing. Like I know these mainly.
Can I ask you guys a question?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I just wanted to know really, or get your thoughts on sort of the importance of a community. I mean, here on Discord, you've obviously got a community of people that you can sort of talk to on a regular basis. How do you find that
how it helps
as a disabled person? Yeah, we find that a lot, don't we, Alice? With people that come on to our show, they'll often say that once they got diagnosed and they could find support groups and things, it's really helped them sort of come to terms with what their condition or their disability is. So I definitely think having a strong community base. And Alice has had Twitter for quite a long time, but during the lockdown, which is how we met, started using Twitter a lot more. And she's said to me that having that sort of knowing that disability Twitter is out there has been really beneficial to her. And I just wondered how beneficial the gaming world. I mean, is gaming, does it appeal to you guys because there is that sense of escapism, maybe?
Definitely,
I don't know really.
My reason mainly because I've been a huge gamer at a very young age, and I've just sort of just been gaming pretty much since then. I've met like obviously some wonderful people, especially through Twitch. I've got like my own little I built my own little family on Twitch. So I know these
That's
like
nice.
amazing people who are sort of like can talk to, collab with, and get to know more sort of thing, and just
It's awesome.
count them as people I can sort of like rely on in a sense.
Yeah,
I find that really interesting because
It
my
is
husband
interesting.
does like online gaming and stuff, and the number of times that he's like walked out, you know, rage quit and just been like, oh, some randomer in some miscellaneous country
When was
has
that?
just dropped the F-bomb on me, and I've, you know, rage quit because everybody's just being awful to each other. So like, to me, gaming doesn't sound like a very nice supportive place. It sounds like a place where there's a lot of angry shouting.
I mean, it depends.
Are you?
Yeah,
Are you?
on the outside,
Are
yeah,
you
you can.
sure it's that and the fact that he didn't just lose Space Invaders?
He's definitely not a good loser.
It kind of depends on what
Yeah.
It
on what
depends on
games you
game
play,
too.
really.
Yeah,
Because
League of Legends
I
can.
used to play. I've played Overwatch for
Yes.
since the release date till probably like this year now. I don't play that much at the moment. And I've noticed the community in there is quite toxic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
A few times
League as well.
I have sort of been, you know, at that level where I've snapped at people before in games.
Do you disclose in your gaming? Sorry, Luce?
No, you go. That was a far better question than mine. You go.
Do you disclose your disability to people like on those communities?
I don't. If they ask like, what's wrong with me, or they see some holes coming on my neck, they're gonna first then ask questions if they want to. At the same time, maybe people are not comfortable with. Maybe it would be a good idea to disclose it, like somewhere on the screen, like post this command if you're interested. I mean, if they have questions, I do have type this command and it will explain to you. Like, that's something that I do, but maybe I should disclose it more. I don't know.
Can I ask you? Sorry, it's iGaze-girl, because obviously you've got communication differences. Like, so it must be harder for you to not disclose your disability when you're like streaming and stuff.
I have programmed things in beforehand, so it is very difficult to communicate.
I can imagine that it's very frustrating. Can be very, very frustrating sometimes. I guess you must be used to it by now.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it is a testimony, isn't it, to the fact that we live in a world where technology is so to hand now. You know, I've got a Amazon
Mhm.
Alexa, and if I was living on my own, I currently live with my parents. But if I was living on my own, I'd have an Amazon Alexa in every house, in every room, in the house that I was living in, because it just makes me feel Iron Man when I enter a room and say lights on, lights go on. It's kind of quite cool, really.
We have one in every room anyway, and it's yeah, just because my husband's a tech nerd and he likes to like, he'll be 2 rooms over, and instead of getting off his backside, he'll talk to me through Alexa. And, yeah, great.
There's a streamer out there. I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of streamers have Alexa in the
I have
background.
Google Dot.
Yeah, Alexa or Google. Yeah, I got Google as well.
Yeah. How many
and
Google devices do you have?
just one in my room. That's it. The Google Home Mini. And I was saying, some streamers have text to speech. Like when somebody donates or subscribes, the text to speech would be over their speakers, and sometimes they would say
Yeah.
Alexa or whatever, and it would trigger and say the key phrase and put this song on, play this song or whatever, or put the heat on like 80 degrees or something. Some trolly kind of thing like that. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fantastic that we live in this day and age, really.
Yeah, no, my most favourite recent discovery is that the Echo can, I'm not saying the O word because it's next to me and it will start talking to me, but the Echo can read your Kindle books. So instead of paying, because like audiobooks are more expensive and I'm a big reader, so it's really cool that, you know, you can buy a super cheap Kindle book and then she'll read it to you, so I don't have to actually work my eyes to be able to read.
That's nice.
And it was Disability Twitter that introduced me to that. I didn't know it was a thing, and then I found out, and it's changed my life.
Yeah, I think technology has been really helpful, mainly for a lot of the disabled community, and
it has been.
It's a shame that obviously some like mobility aids and stuff are very expensive.
Yeah,
and it's like trying to get some of that equipment can lead into like the thousands, 2000s.
Yeah, it's
more and more.
Crazy.
It's sort of like it's kind of it is obviously we're in probably a good age now where we have like technology that can do some of these things already, rather than to replace these really expensive mobility aids.
Right.
That might have faults and things which can be even more expensive.
Right.
I still think Lucy's favourite bit of tech though is her magic toilet.
Yeah, I love my toilet. If anybody tries to take my toilet away from me, I will poke them in the eye and then cry. So I have what they call a closet toilet. So you lean and you push a button and it will wash you after you've used the toilet, it makes me so much more independent.
It sounds like it's probably really time effective as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, really.
I guess so.
I don't have to have any assistance from anybody.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
When I first had it installed, my friends were going, "Can I have a go on your toilet?" And I felt like it's to a theme park and just say, "Yeah, queue up." And
you could have recouped the cost if you started charging them for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, it's the best thing. I own my toilet. Best things. Top 3.
Oh wow, top 3. There's something better than that toilet, huh? I guess we shouldn't really discuss that here.
It's 4:30 in the afternoon. 3:30, 4:30. 4:30. There you go.
Bit early to be chatting about that on a Thursday.
Yeah, it is really, isn't it?
I do want to do like an after dark episode one day though, Luce.
We should do that.
like an X-rated one.
There you go.
We will definitely have to put the disclaimer all over that.
Yeah, subscribe to my no, I can't say that here. Yeah.
Subscribe to our podcast, and the more subscribers we get, the more likely it is that we'll do an X-rated one.
Yeah.
No, subscribe to my OnlyFans for the exclusive.
Yes.
If I get really desperate for money, then yes, probably.
As long as I don't say the word on stream, I'm all right.
Yeah.
has anybody got any more questions for us, maybe about podcasting or anything like that? Question and answers.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
curious.
keeping an eye on chat, but there's not really any questions at this moment in time.
Okay. Would you want to do the outros now, or still want to talk about anything, or?
Yeah, chat. If you have any questions, type them in the chat.
To give
you guys a couple minutes to come.
Do you want me to give you the links out for the podcast while we're waiting for any questions?
Yeah, we'll give people around maybe 5 minutes or so if anyone's got any
Yeah,
questions.
we could do that.
Or a couple minutes, see if anyone has any questions. Yeah, if you want to put, I can share out the podcasts and stuff if you want to post them in the Discord. I can send them through.
Yeah, if I know where to post it up, and I will.
Post it in general. It's fine.
In general, okay.
Yeah, post it.
I'll do that in a minute. So I can give you all the links to everything so you can find us.
But we're just labeled the podcast, I think, on everything, aren't we?
Yeah, labeled podcast. So
labeled
as in lABLEd, so it's lABLEd podcast.
lABLEd podcast.
Yeah, that's on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
And
then our website is www.labelledpodcast. So it's
lABLEd
podcast. It's lABLEd. So it's able with an L and a D either side of it.
Oh, so there's no E in it?
There's an E at the end of able, but there's not one before the second L.
So it goes lABLED.
Yep.
Yeah.
Able.
lABLEdpodcast.com.
On Instagram.
.co.uk.
.co.uk.
Yeah, I've just put lABLEd Podcast, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and then all right. You guys, you want to check lABLEd?
And then,
if you want to check lABLEd Podcast out, here is their socials. Please, if you're interested in podcasts, you just want something to listen to, that's a good place to go to. So I'm going to try and listen into their podcasts as soon as
So we were just talking about our podcast, lABLEd, and we were saying, if anybody is interested in kind of listening or coming on, you can head over to our website. We've got a guest form. We are always looking for guests to come on and kind of share their stories. We do some specialist history episodes, which we're really looking forward to. We've got a tame historian who's sort of comes on and talks to us about disability throughout the ages. So that's been pretty cool.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, that's where you can find us.
Nice. Yeah, and one question there was that who is what kind of support groups do we be a part of? I believe Alice, you said guide dogs and guide dogs.
Guide Dogs with the charity that definitely helped me the most. Guide Dogs Association, who provided me with my beautiful puppy Lola.
Cool. And
disability through the ages. That sounds real good. Such a great idea.
It's awesome. Those episodes are awesome.
Idea.
Yeah, I might have to have a look at them. But Pansy, you've been looking at the you guys done a podcast on them?
Yeah.
We've done a few. So the current episode that we've got out at the moment is we're focusing on two women from history. Rosa May Billinghurst, who was one of the first wheelchair suffragettes. She was actually called the crippled suffragette by her colleagues and friends within the movement, and also Sarah Bernhardt, who was a French theatre star who lost her leg and still managed to forge a career as a very famous actress. So we talk about those two people in that episode.
We've got a special series coming out at the end of March where we're going to be looking at doing a bit of a deep dive into autism and autism awareness. And we've got a really cool episode on kind of the history of autism. That's really interesting. That's coming up.
That sounds really interesting.
I think we'll be doing quite a lot of. Yeah, we're going to be doing quite a lot of episodes about different types of disabilities. So the history of, I don't know, cerebral palsy, blindness.
Yeah, and we sort of a history of famous people and historical figures who had disabilities and chronic illnesses and stuff. So quite like the idea of doing an episode on Harriet Tubman because she had a brain injury and epilepsy. Obviously because of an attack during her enslavement. So I think, and the fact that she did everything she did whilst also dealing with, brain injury that caused memory problems and her epilepsy, like it makes it even more incredible.
Wow, that's awesome. I was not aware of that.
Yeah, lots of people aren't.
Yeah. And then Becky said she was grateful for special effect. Toby and Dynavox. Yeah, I mean they're great organizations. Without special effect or the person involved that developed the mod for playing Minecraft and Eye Tracker. I mean, without them, we wouldn't have been able to play Minecraft. So it's awesome. And for myself, I said the MDA, the Muscular Dystrophy Association. I was involved more with them when I was younger. I mean, they are really not part of my life right now. I mean, I don't rely on them or whatever right now. So I'm more independent from them now, and I'm just doing what I do now, and I enjoy it. So yeah, that's about my support.
I know, Lucy, you work for a disability charity, don't you?
I do, yes. So over here in the UK, I work for a company called Access Able, and we provide access guides for hospitals, colleges, tourism attractions, shops and sort of shopping malls and that kind of thing. And we're all over the UK. We're one of the UK's leading disability organisations, and we're currently in the midst of setting up a access guide deal with motorway services. So every motorway service station in the UK will have an access guide provided by Access Able, which is something that I've been working on. So I've got a vast knowledge of motorway service stations in England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland.
That's good, though. Let people aware if they're interested.
We've got very detailed access guides, and when I say detailed, I mean like proper. We'll tell you how far away a bin is from a toilet, how heavy the door is, how wide the door opens, what the light is like, so that kind of thing. Really, really detailed.
And is it all can you get it all on your phone, or do you have to how do you access the access guide?
We've got an app and a website. So
that's cool.
.co.uk or just
I didn't know that.
How long have we known each other?
Yeah, but we've known each other in the time where we've only known each other during the time where we're not allowed to leave the house. So what do I need an access card for?
I'll send you the app later. I'll send it you. But yeah, it's something I'm really proud to be part of, and we're really quite innovative, and that again is using tech to sort of save time, and it also means that disabled people can make plans. They can sort of plan their day out as they normally would, but they don't have to keep ringing around venues to say, can I get in through your doorway and things like that. They can judge for that. We don't ever tell you whether something is accessible. You make your own mind up. So we give you the information, and if you can manage one little step or two little steps, that's fine. You can, we don't tell you you can't go here because it's actually not accessible. We just give you the information and make the decision. But also it means that if you're going out with your friends and actually you've gone to a restaurant and you suddenly at the last minute, as you're walking to the restaurant, decide I don't want to go there, you can still make the plan by using the Access Able app because it's on your phone, so you can look for restaurants near you and go, okay, well, I don't want to go there, but if we walk like 2 minutes down the road, there's another one. So
I think it's just really cool because it promotes that independence, doesn't it? It's you being able to make that decision for yourself and going, well, this is where I want. Where can I go if I want to? Can I get in somewhere? And without you kind of having to almost put yourself out there and be like, oh, can somebody help me? I don't know if I can get in somewhere. It's cool.
Yeah.
No, that's great.
And the guy that founded it he's just so when he speaks, he's just so passionate about what he does and what he's managed to create. And every time he speaks, it makes me cry, which is no surprise if you know me, because I just cry at everything. But he having that somebody, the person who founded it, he's so passionate about it, can only lead to good things for the rest of his workforce, really, can't it?
Right.
Yeah.
Man, it's awesome that something like access and the owner, I guess you can say, is really passionate as well. I mean, that helps when you have somebody like that, like owning that, something like that. That's great.
No, I'm very proud of the work I contribute to it, even if it is just standing in front of a spreadsheet for hours on end.
Someone's got to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pays the bills.
Great. It means that she's good at spreadsheets. So, like all the podcast spreadsheets, I'm just like, here you go. You manage this. I just stand up and talk.
I'm very well. I like to think I'm very organised.
That helps. Trying to be organized at least.
Certainly does. Yeah.
Yeah, how about you, Adam? Did you have any support groups or organizations that you were a part of or got help from?
Charities and organizations like that for years. This is too long ago that I pretty much always forget. I feel like ones that kind of like help me sort of like go abroad and things like that, like just go on holidays and stuff. Because obviously, when you travel, insurance, like travel insurance, can be quite extortionate.
It can be, yeah.
Yeah, so sort of I like charities to sort of help with that, help with those costs and things like that. Does help with it a little bit and make sure I can go abroad without paying like $2,000 on myself for insurance, just so I can go away for 2 weeks to America, for example. What else? So I can't really think of what else right now. So I can really think of it in a minute.
That's fine.
I've not really needed like any like specialist sort of like equipment
Right.
that much anyway. Obviously, I'm still in the process of looking to get a new wheelchair at some point, but obviously I'm still waiting for them to get back to me. So, obviously Twitch, as obviously because I've been streaming quite a bit, Twitch has kind of like helped me sort of like support me and kind of like being there for me and being people I can talk to.
That's great.
Generally, poetry football as well. Kind of like being able to do that's quite obviously having the sport that or like a community with people from the sport. Gives people to talk to as well, sort of thing. So it's all like for me, it's sort of like trying to be social with people, getting to know people, even if I don't know in real life, still getting to know people regardless.
Yeah. Yeah, Twitch is can be a great thing. I mean, avoiding all the trolls, of course, and all the whatever the toxic people out there. I mean, any kind of those people just exist. I mean, they don't really help us in any way, but at the same time, they are giving us viewership. So there's that. They are giving us those numbers, I guess you could say. So I guess they're helping us in that aspect, but trolls will be trolls, as they say.
There's no room in any community for trolls, really.
No, there isn't. But they will always be there.
Yeah, you're always going to get the occasional troll, but that's sort of like something you have to deal with as a streamer anyway.
Yeah. We've been quite lucky so far that we haven't had a sort of any real troll attacks on the pod, but I am a bit sort of every time I go on Twitter now, it's a bit like, oh
yeah, shut up, Alice, don't jinx it.
Don't jinx it, yeah, knock on wood.
Yeah.
But it is a bit like every time I go on Twitter, I think, oh, it's today the day that they come out of the woodwork.
We do our best, don't we? Try not offend anybody in there, but still maintain our
I think that there are also some people in the world who just us existing as disabled, outspoken women, they find that offensive. So I'm sure they'll turn up with their pitchforks eventually.
Bring it.
They'll find us if you keep shouting about it, Alice.
It's fine. I'll set my ferocious guide dog on them. We'll be fine.
Okay.
The ferocious, stinky guard dog.
Yeah. So ferocious.
Yeah.
Any more questions?
Yeah, if anybody has any more questions.
Yeah, I've just read Panja's. I don't know if it's kind of like a question, but it's like I think it's more towards the lABLEd podcast. It says on Facebook that the podcasts also focus on illnesses.
Yeah.
So our historian Daisy has got chronic illness. She's got lupus and EDS, or she had lupus. I don't know if lupus is something that you kind of keep. Lupus, and she's got a diagnosis of EDS. We're going to have more people moving forward in the future who have got illnesses and conditions who don't necessarily define themselves as disabled as such. We're also having people with mental illnesses, mental health problems come on the show. Talking to somebody at the moment who's going to come on to talk about his experience of depression. It's all about that kind of diversity.
Yeah. So if you want to check out Alice and Lucy about their podcast, you can find them at lABLEd podcast, lABLEd podcast.
That's it.
So, yep. And there you have it. Anything else you guys want to say? Shout yourselves out.
The only other
anything
thing
at
is we
all.
have a GoFundMe. So go to our website, go to our GoFundMe, give us some money so that we can. Well, Lucy loves her job, so that we can give up. I can give up my job, and we can pay our editor. Our
Okay,
poor, long-suffering editor who has to cut down the hours and hours of me and Lucy just chatting to something that's interesting and people will actually listen to.
Such a hard job, man. We're great
Thank
to
you
have
so
them.
much for having us.
Yeah, thank you. This has
Yeah,
been really
it's a lot
fun.
of fun. Yeah. So if you want to shout yourself out, Adam.
Yeah.
Yep. So on Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, I go by Adam Articuno. I do have TikTok as well, but I don't use it. That's about it really. I stream a lot during the week, mainly. No, every day except for Wednesday and Fridays.
Okay. Anything else you want to say? EyeMineGirl, I gaze girl.
Yeah, Pandra would like to say, yeah, you lot are all also lovely.
Oh, thanks.
Oh, thank
thanks.
you.
EyeGazeGirl on YouTube, all one word.
Cool. And there you have it. That episode done. We're glad to have you guys either watching on YouTube or listening through Anchor, the Spotify, Google Podcast, yeah, Anchor.fm. I'll post a link into the YouTube description. But yeah, it'll be there. So yeah, we'll see you guys next time.